Welcome to Midnight Story. Tonight's story start a missing child's name appeared in police reports 22 years after he vanished. It started with a name that shouldn't have been there. Not a scream, not a body, not a confession, just a name quietly typed into a base at 2:14 a.m. during a routine traffic stop in rural Ohio. The officer didn't notice it at first. He was tired, near the end of a double shift, eyes burning from hours of highway darkness. He ran the license plate, waited for the familiar lag of the system, and glanced down at his screen. Witness listed, Evan Miller. Age, 28. The officer froze. Because Evan Miller would have been 28. If Evan Miller hadn't vanished when he was 6 years old. Back in 2001. 22 years earlier, Evan Miller disappeared on a warm Sunday afternoon in a quiet Midwestern town called Ashford. A town with white fences, open porches, and neighbors who believed nothing truly bad could happen there. Evan was 6, small for his age, brown hair that never stayed combed, a faint scar on his chin from falling off a bike the summer before. He loved dinosaurs, hated loud noises, and refused to sleep unless the hallway light was on. That afternoon, his mother, Karen Miller, was in the kitchen folding laundry. The windows were open. She could hear birds, distant lawnmowers, and Evan in the backyard, talking to himself the way kids do when they're deep inside imaginary worlds. At 3:42 p.m. she called out, "Evan, come inside soon." No answer. She didn't worry. Not yet. At 3:47 she stepped onto the porch. The backyard gate was open. Evan was gone. No scream. No struggle. No witnesses. Just silence where a child should have been. The search lasted weeks. Police combed the woods. Divers searched the creek. Dogs followed a scent that stopped near the road, then disappeared completely as if Evan had simply evaporated. Volunteers hung posters. Candlelight vigils filled the park. Reporters stood outside the Miller home, microphones extended, asking Karen how she was holding up. She wasn't. Evan's father left 2 months later. The marriage collapsed under the weight of unanswered questions and quiet blame that never needed words. The case went cold. Eventually, Ashford moved on. But Karen Miller never did. For 22 years, Evan Miller existed only in memory, in yellowed missing person flyers, in a small box under Karen's bed that held his sneakers, a lock of hair from his first haircut, and a birthday card he never got to open. The police file gathered dust. Until that traffic stop. When the officer saw the name, he assumed it was a data error. That happens. Old records get merged. Names repeat. Systems glitch. But something felt wrong. Because Evan Miller wasn't just listed as a name. He was listed as a witness. With a time stamp. And a location. The officer flagged the report. Sent it up the chain. By morning, the case landed on the desk of Detective Laura Hensley, Cold Case Unit, 15 years on the job, known for 2 things, patience and an almost unsettling attention to detail. She stared at the screen for a long time. Then she whispered, "That's not possible." Detective Hensley pulled Evan's original missing person file. Everything matched. Name, date of birth, social security number. The same number now attached to a man who technically shouldn't exist. She checked death records. Nothing. No remains ever found. No official declaration of death. Legally, Evan Miller was still missing. And now, according to the system, he was back. At first, the department suspected identity fraud. Someone using Evan's name. But that theory fell apart quickly. Who steals the identity of a missing child? There were no credit cards. No loans. No financial activity. No employment history. Just sightings. Over the next 3 weeks, Detective Hensley discovered something chilling. Evan Miller's name had appeared 4 times in the past 5 years. Always as a witness. Always briefly. Always in different states. Michigan, Pennsylvania, Indiana, now Ohio. Each time, the report included a note. Witness left before full statement could be taken. No photos. No descriptions. Just a name slipping in and out of official records like a ghost. Hensley contacted Evan's mother. Karen answered on the second ring. She recognized the detective's voice immediately because she had memorized every voice that ever called her with false hope. When Hensley said, "Mrs. Miller, we found your son's name in a recent police report," the line went silent. Then Karen said something that stopped the detective cold. "I know." Karen explained that for years, long before the police noticed anything, she had been receiving strange signs. Letters with no return address. Postcards mailed from cities Evan should have been in at his age. Once, a voicemail with no voice, just breathing. She reported them all. No one listened. They told her it was grief. They told her she was holding on. They told her to let go. But a mother knows. Detective Hensley reopened the case officially. And that's when things turned disturbing. When technicians tried to trace the original entry that placed Evan's name back into the system, they couldn't. There was no user ID. No terminal location. No log. It was as if the system itself had typed the name. Hensley tracked down the officer from the Ohio traffic stop. He described the witness vaguely. A man standing on the shoulder of the road. Late 20s. Quiet. Watched the interaction but never spoke. The officer remembered him clearly for one reason. He looked sad, the officer said. Like he wanted to say something but didn't think anyone would believe him. When asked how the name was obtained, the officer paused. He told me, he said. Just leaned in and said, my name's Evan Miller. The description matched what Evan would have looked like. Same height progression. Same facial structure. The scar on the chin. The scar Karen never stopped tracing in old photos. Then came the final report. 6 months after the Ohio incident. A 911 call from a payphone in Pennsylvania. A calm male voice. He didn't report a crime. He just said this. I was taken when I was 6. I'm not dead. But I can't stay. The call disconnected. The phone was traced. By the time police arrived, it was empty. But the system logged the caller ID. Evan Miller. The case remains open. No body. No arrest. No explanation. Karen Miller still keeps the porch light on. Just in case. Because sometimes, the people we lose don't disappear. They just slip through the cracks of the world, appearing only long enough to remind us they were here. And that someone somewhere still remembers their name. Calm down. Close your eyes. If you are new my channel, please subscribe and press bell icon. Sweet dreams. Good night.